Hello, you absolute legends. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another episode of Pistons.
Pistons?
The podcast, the only podcast, as far as I'm aware,
That's Pistons.
that comes from Dad's workshop. How are you?
I don't know any other podcasts, mate. There's no other podcasts leave this establishment.
If you haven't watched the previous episode, that was the pilot episode. This is episode 2, and actually, a lot of people liked the previous episode.
We peaked too soon, mate. We peaked too soon.
I suppose we need to start as we need to go on with Tool of the Week. Ta-da! Here is Tool of the Week. Show us Tool of the Week.
Right, it's got a screwdriver end there.
Yeah.
It's got a slot in there.
Oh.
It's got a little eccentric cam design thing there.
Yeah.
And it's got a little hole there with a peg at the side there. And it's made in France.
Don't tell us what it's for.
And anybody who's worked on French cars are going to be saying, I know what that is.
Let's show you a better picture of that. And if you know what Tool of the Week is, or if you think you know what Tool of the Week is, pop your answer in the comments below now, and the answer will be revealed at the end of the podcast. Right, so it's been a week since we last saw you.
Time fly.
When you're having fun.
Yeah.
First things first, Hyundai i10 update.
Yeah.
Tell the people about your Hyundai i10 if they don't know already.
Unfortunately, somebody reversed into it in the car park at our local leisure centre, and it's now been repaired. But the people have rung me up today and say it's anticipated, did I say the 2nd of April?
Yeah, 2nd of April.
2nd of April.
Yeah, so
but it's in paint already, so I think they're under-promising and going to over-deliver.
Some Wally basically backed into it and didn't tell Dad that they'd backed into it, and we've had to go through the insurance.
That's a new spelling of what I thought he was.
You weren't too impressed. You weren't too happy.
I was disappointed.
It's a whole new door job, isn't it? The Hyundai
Yes,
i10.
it is,
New
yes.
door, new wing mirror. Hopefully they're going to put not a pattern part on it, a proper Hyundai door. Paint it up and you won't see. But there will be an update, I suppose, on the podcast when
Woman
it's
says
back.
they're still waiting for that trim, you know.
Which trim?
I'm guessing it's the stick-on trim. They'll be waiting for a new one.
Why don't they just take the old one off and stick it on?
Probably because they want to make it as new.
Oh, there we go. So Hyundai i10 update, it is away, it's being repaired, and hopefully back for the 2nd of April. I want to talk to you about an event, moving on. The Pride of Longbride.
Right.
It's held on the 13th of April at Coupland Park in Longbridge between 10 and 4.
And it's free.
It is free, and it is opposite the old Longbridge plant. Now, I've had a look on Google Maps at the old Longbridge plant. I think in 2011 you can see the Longbridge plant. 2012 they've flattened it, and now it's housing. Are we going to the Pride of Longbride?
So you say.
I've never been to the Pride of Longbride. You've clearly never been to the Pride of Longbride. It's a free car show.
Are we allowed to go? Because ours is the Pride of Cowley.
Oh, that's a good point. I would hope so.
Might not let us in.
I think it celebrates all things Austin, MG Rover, Land Rover, etc., etc. So we will be at the Pride of Longbride. Is the Pride of Longbride chat that I wanted to do. Any issues with us getting there with the Rover 75?
It all depends how it's driven.
Now we've done it. So yeah, if you've been to the Pride of Longbride before, let us know in the comments below what we can expect. I don't know what to expect. I know it's a free event. I know that it's the 13th of April.
It's organised by the sort of Birmingham or Longbridge City Council.
Oh, there you go.
Council sort of taking it on board.
People have told me to expect a long wait to get in.
Yeah.
Take a pack up.
Right.
Because there's no food provisions on site, but that it's a good day. And also there'll be quite a lot of rare stuff there. So MG Rover, Pride of Longbride, 13th of April, we will be there. Right, now let's move on then to what have you been up to this week? It's an exciting part of the podcast.
Been helping some old fella fix this van.
Well, we'll come to what's in the workshop
What
in a
else
minute.
have we done?
But
I cleaned my Nissan Note.
it looks shiny.
It was until I had to bring it out to bring somebody old fella's stuff in.
So we had the smart car in the workshop
We did,
yesterday.
yes, we did, yes.
Tell us about the smart car
The smart car.
day we had yesterday.
Well, the smart car's got some sort of electrical fault that we went through all the information from the customer, and then when I was sort of getting nearly finished, he says, "Oh, it only happens when it's raining."
Mainly happens when it's raining. It does happen when it's not raining also.
Was it just damp, does it happen? Or is it just...
I don't know.
Is it foggy? Does it happen when it's foggy?
There's a video coming to the channel about our day yesterday of working on the smart car. We've had, was it the clutch actuator?
Yeah, we took the old clutch actuator off and cleaned all the connections up to all the gearbox stuff.
The rev counter's been looked at, but that we don't think was related to the issues.
No.
We found it needs new tyres, and is it the rear sway arms or rear?
Oh yeah, them arms that stop the axle from doing that. The bushes has gone in one side.
Yeah, so we've got some of them on order. So a full day working on the smart car yesterday, which leads us on nicely to what's in the workshop. Well, it's my vein. Last week we had the Nissan Note in the workshop, looking resplendent. This week is the Royal Snail Van. If you haven't seen the videos and the genus and the history of the Royal Snail Van on the channel, I suggest you check that out. But we've had it in the workshop today. What have we been working on with the van?
We've been changing the oil and filter, and it's raining.
Is it raining again?
Yeah.
Is it every time we do this, it starts to rain? It hasn't rained all day.
It's raining. Look on the floor. It's flipping raining.
Again, every time we try and do this, it rains. I think it's just going to spot.
As they say in Lincolnshire, a bit of gnat's piddle, that's all.
There you go. Let's carry on. So tell us about what we've been doing with the van
Changing
today.
the oil and filter and stripping and easing the front brakes and checking the levels and tyre pressures.
Yeah, busy day on the van. We've had a couple of hours work on it.
Busy couple of hours tinkering.
We hadn't changed the oil for a couple of years. Don't shout at me. So we've done that this morning. I can't believe it's raining.
Not much, is it? It'll be all right. What are we doing?
Give me a week, let's carry on.
We're pressing on.
Well, let's carry on. It'll be all right. It's not that rainy. Here we go.
I'm coming in the shade. Come inside, girl.
Come on then, if you're coming in.
In the dry.
Sit down then. Go see Grandad. Ah, the tool of the week, Inspector. Sit down then. Sit down.
Good girl.
Well, Krista's entered the garage out of the rain. Tell us, again, for the second time, why we've had the Royal Snail Van in the garage today. Why is it in the workshop?
Because you're going to be commuting in it for the next few days, so we thought we'd better just give it a quick check over, seeing as you're going to be thrashing it to your place of work.
Absolutely. So the smart car is my commuter daily hack, and with the issues that we found a couple of days ago, we've decided that it's not
prudent.
It's not a good idea.
100-mile round trip every day with a bush like that.
So I'm going to be driving my van. I'm going to be commuting in my van. You've checked the brakes. You've checked the tyres. We've checked the air filter. We've done an oil and filter change. Checked the levels of the coolant and the power steering fluid, and
stripped and eased front brakes.
Yeah, good. So that's what's in the workshop this week. Are you ready for Q&A?
Yes, please.
Q&A. We had an unprecedented amount of questions come through this week, so if we haven't answered or do not answer your questions in this podcast, don't worry, they're in a big pot of things to answer ready for next week. I like Q&A. I think it's a nice little useful insight, and I appreciate everyone that has sent in questions. We've got loads of these, so let's get through these. This one is for you.
Ooh.
It's from Interdeck, and he says, Pete, that's you by the way, Dad, mentioned in episode 1 that you would recommend a 3/8 socket set.
Yeah.
There was a question about what tools would you have if you were starting off as a mechanic.
Just started off, yeah.
Why 3/8 and not 1/2 inch?
Because 3/8 you can get into more places. And you can always borrow a big 1/2 inch one from your bloke who's looking after you until you buy your own. But you need both in the long run. You do need both. In the old days, nobody had 3/8 socket sets. They used to have all at 1/2 inch. They had the cantilever toolbox and an 1/2 inch socket set, and that's what they had.
But you recommend 3/8 now?
If you start, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Then you go out and say, well, I've got my 3/8 drive set and I've been working with that.
So what you're saying is the majority of people that you're working with will already have 1/2 inch.
If you're an apprentice to somebody, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But you're going to need one. You're going to need everything in the long term, aren't you?
But that's what you'd recommend.
The question was to start with. That's what I was thinking. You know, I'm an old boy, just left my education, starting in the garage trade, what would I buy first?
Good. That's answered that question. Hope that answered your question, Interdeck. It certainly did. Terry Atkinson goes on to say, where did you learn to weld and what size cylinder do you use?
Oh, crikey. I use the little throwaway cylinders that you get from Alford's, Tool Station, anywhere like that. I don't buy the big refillable ones because I don't do enough welding. Where did I learn to weld? Ralph taught me to gas weld. And any sort of welding, once you can weld, you can weld.
When you say Ralph, was he...
Ralph was the bloke who taught me mechanicking.
So you were his apprentice?
I was, yes.
And he was your...
And Ralph could weld, even weld aluminium with gas, Ralph could. And that's tricky, that is.
What's the... Obviously the apprentice is the learner. What is the name? What would be the name given to Ralph?
Round here, Ralph.
The gaffer?
No, he was the foreman, to be fair. So I was lucky, really, because while he was doing his foreman I was doing his engine work. So I was lucky, really, because I got chucked in at the deep end.
Good. That's how you learnt to weld, then.
Ralph taught me.
The person that taught you how to be a mechanic taught you how to weld.
He did, yes.
Are you a good welder?
No, average.
I'm not an expert when it comes to welding. There's 2 sorts of welding, 3 sorts of welding.
Well, you've got gas welding.
Yeah.
You've got TIG welding.
Yeah.
You've got arc welding.
Yeah.
And you've got, did I say gas welding?
Yeah.
You've got TIG, MIG, gas and
Plasma?
arc. 4.
Oh, arc. So what?
Plasma's cutting, isn't it?
What's the difference? So gas welding,
Yeah.
how does that work?
You've got a torch.
Yeah.
And a bit of metal, and you melt the piece of metal that you're trying to weld, and then you slowly feed in the filler rod.
That's a bit like soldering, in a way.
No, because you are actually melting the metal. With soldering, you're just sticking it together by applying heat and another thing. And you see, then TIG welding comes in nearly the same, but instead of going a gas flame, you've got an electric
Good. Arc welding.
Arc welding is a stick, and it's a stick that's covered with a flux, and you strike an arc. So once it starts sparking, and then it deposits the metal and welds the metal together.
What's the other one we said? I can't remember.
We've got MIG. We've not mentioned MIG. MIG's the same thing. All it does, it strikes an arc, but then to stop oxidisation, you're blowing an inert gas around your weld all the time. With your stick welding, you've got, on the welding rod, you've got a chemical that burns off at the same time to protect the area from oxidation. Because if your weld oxidises, the metal's burning. So you don't want that to happen.
It's no good.
So with your MIG welding, you're blowing an inert gas around it, be it argon or CO2 or whatever you're using for various mixes for different metals.
There you go.
And it just stops the metal oxidising. If you try to weld without something to stop it oxidising, you just get this horrible burnt, splattered mess. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Crash course in welding quickly there from Dad. Daniel says, this is Daniel Russell, what is Mrs. John Coupland's favourite classic car? That's a good question. She's got a few. I'm going to see if you can guess. Can you guess what Mrs. John
The old Fiat 500,
yeah,
I'd have thought.
that is number 1 on the list, an old Fiat 500. There's a few more as well, which I don't know if you'll get.
Oh, let me have a guess. 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 I would have thought a Fiat Panda even.
No.
No, not an old Vauxhall perhaps.
No.
Go on then, you spit it up. I'll give up now.
She likes bubble cars, so she likes Messerschmitts and Heinkels as well.
That figures, yeah.
Yeah, because she likes her little, small, cute, bubbly
Yeah,
cars.
no, she loves little, small, cute, bubbly things. Yeah. There's exceptions to the rule then.
So the answer to
sometimes she prefers something a bit more like I don't know, a container ship, perhaps.
Oh, God, wow, container ship.
A
Bloody hell.
Pantechnicon, do they call them? In the old days, they'd call it an 18-wheeler. I do like the 18-wheeler now and again.
It keeps me warm at night. That's the answer to your question. Anything that's small and round. Minis, the old style.
What about DS3? Does she like that?
No. And, surprisingly, I just cannot get her excited about Morris Minors. I would love to buy Mrs. John Coupland a Morris Minor. She's not
I'd
interested.
rather you didn't, because I don't mind a bit of welding.
You don't. to
I
do
don't
some
want to spend
terminal
my
welding.
welding for the rest of my life.
If she had to pick one, what are you doing, by the way?
She's just with her granddad, don't worry.
She's
doing dog stuff.
If she had to pick one, it would be the Fiat 500, then followed by a bubble car. Callum Mutton,
Oh, yes.
who actually has pointed out on another video the highest point in Lincolnshire is like a golf ball.
I did actually see his comments on this, and the highest point is the golf ball, and the trigonometry point is in the same sort of area, and it's in a farmer's field just behind a hedge somewhere.
So apparently there's a gravel path leading up to it, so we can go to it.
Yes,
It's the highest point in Lincolnshire.
It's a cheat, that is, because it's on the end of a stick. But the trig point is in this farmer's field just behind a hedge. And I've seen it because somebody stood their spaniel on it and says, this is the highest spaniel in Lincolnshire.
We could take you, couldn't we? And you
If you Google it, it's on the Farming Forum or something.
Right, there we go.
Callum, yes, the ball thing, which is something to do with, what's the word for it? Ordnance Survey.
Ordnance Survey, yeah.
So that's interesting.
Callum says, what is the worst bodge job / cover-up or most dangerous thing on a car that you've seen whilst carrying out an MOT? Shall we split that down? Let's split that down.
I'm going to give you just one because it's everything.
Right, okay.
And it sticks in my mind because I think it is totally and utterly outrageous. Because there's not many bodge jobs that you see these days because people just don't do it anymore because there's nobody tinkering with their own cars. But I saw a leaf spring that somebody had welded together.
Wow.
Because it had been broken, and there's lots of leaves in a leaf spring. Well, this has just got one, but most leaf springs has got several leaves on top of one another. And one of the top ones was broken, and they'd run a beader weld down one side and a beader weld down to weld the broken one to all the others.
Question is, what sort of welding technique did they use?
It looked like stick welding.
Stick welding. So why is that dangerous?
Why is it dangerous?
You tell the people why it's dangerous.
Why is it dangerous? Why? Because the spring's not a spring anymore, is it?
It's two
the
pieces
spring's
of metal.
a piece of metal welded together.
I'm guessing that would break.
You can't weld suspension bits and try and put it through an MOT.
There you go, Callum, that's answered your question. I'm guessing it failed an MOT.
It did, yeah. And we had a good chat about it for a while as well.
Daniel says, which Proton would your dad like to have out of all of the ones in your fleet? That's a good question.
The old white one.
Really?
Yeah, I dare use it.
The 1.5 SE?
Yeah.
So that's a
12 valve
K-Reg, isn't it? It's not a showpiece, is it?
No.
By any means.
Go and drive it.
So that's why you'd have it?
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't
Not so much point having a car stood in a shed, is it?
There you go. That's answered the question. Which Proton would Dad have? The white saloon?
I daren't drive your others.
No. Alex Dalgleish says, and this is on the same sort of vein, we're talking about my car collection. If your dad could choose which of your car collection to sell through lack of use, what would they be? Not asking you, John, as you'd keep everything. So if you could take one car from my collection...
Oh no, it's got to be an entire mark.
No, and sell it through lack of use. That's the question, lack of use. Not because you don't like it, not because it's a pain to work on. One car in my collection through lack of use.
The Audi TT with the Recaro seats in it.
Yeah, I knew you was going to say that. That's my TT Roadster, isn't it? Why that one?
Because you don't use it, you can't get in the seats, you may as well not have it.
I did go and look at it in the shed the other day. It's in my garage currently, next to the two Protons. And it's all dusty, it's all dirty, the battery's flat, the paintwork's flat, the tyres are flat, and it needs a good bit of recommissioning to get on the road. There's a reason that I don't really drive it aside from
I can't
get in it. Yeah, okay, I agree with that. I actually agree with Dad on that. If I was to sell something, it would be, well, I wouldn't want to sell it because I want to keep it, as Alex said, but that would probably be the one as well. Good question. Robin Giles says, have you or your dad ever owned a Fiat? Not talking about the pink Fiat 500 or the stale bale Doblo. Have you ever owned a Fiat?
No.
Me either. So, well, I do. I have this one, which is a Doblo. Robin says he's had a 90s Tipo and several versions of the Panda. Now he's got the MHEV. He's also had a couple of Peugeot 405s and the Saloon Turbo. He's got, actually, Robin has been sneaky here. He snuck 2 questions in. Yeah. Have you ever considered or owned a 405?
Do you know, I always think to myself that would be a rare thing to have now, because they are rare, aren't they?
They are beautiful cars. They're more boxy, aren't they, the 405s?
Yeah.
So you've considered owning one?
If how do I put this? If I was a classic car sort of collecting person, I should think to myself, I'd like to have one of them, yeah. But I'm not, am I?
But no Fiat?
Oh yeah, if I had a chance, definitely one of them little tiny Fiats like the other Amy had.
A Cinquecento?
Yeah, I think they're wonderful. Or a 4x4 Panda.
Ah, yeah, now they are. So what style 4x4 Panda? The modern?
The old ones.
Or the old square boxy ones?
Yes, oh, definitely.
Cool, 4x4 Panda.
Yeah.
But no, we haven't.
Useful car.
We haven't, I've never owned one. Again, my only Fiat that I've got, or 2 Fiats that we've got, are this one, the Doblo, which is my vein.
I've got no Fiats.
And the Fiat 500. Michael Gilbert says, loving the podcast, great. Thank you very much. Question
Nice
for Dad.
Thanks, mate.
How many years have you had the Triumph bike?
Must be about 12 years, isn't it?
Which model is it and how many miles has it got on the clock?
I've got to get up to a look, see how many miles it's got on it.
Go find out.
It's a 955i.
It's a Triumph Tiger. 955i.
Let's have a look at the mileage.
53 plate. And yeah, I think 12 years, does that sound...
No, it's not 53, it's an 05.
Oh, is it? Oh, I thought it was a 53 plate. There you go. It's there anyway. 05 plate. What's the mileage?
39,000.
Not enough use in the past 12 years.
I'm too busy tinkering around with classic vehicles.
I think that's what Michael's trying to get at. You haven't been using your bike.
I know I'm not.
The story behind the Triumph, when you've obviously bought it, you say 12 years ago, how did you come to acquire that?
I went into a motorbike shop and says, can I have that please? And he says, yes you can you give me some money?
Good, thank you very much. We'll move on then. Paul Costello says, when and how did the Proton thing start? Well, we covered that in last week's podcast. If you haven't seen it, then check out last week's podcast. What is Dad's pick of new cars?
Oh.
What are we classing as new? That's the first thing we need to discuss.
Nearly new. Let's go back.
Let's go back to 2017.
Oh, DS3. I like DS3s.
What, a Citroen DS3?
No, it's a whole new brand. It's not a Citroen. It's a DS3.
That's a bit... I never saw that coming.
Yeah.
That's a bit left field. Where's that come from?
Well, they're like a BMW Mini, but they don't brake so much.
But French.
So?
So
It's
you're
a
saying
BMW
a DS3?
Mini, but French. Yeah, DS3. I think I've worked on loads of them. I know
What does that tell you?
I know you have to put new brakes on them every 6 months, but they're very, very nice things. I like to drive them.
Okay, fine. Never saw that coming, Michael, but hopefully that's answered your question. I'm going to answer it as well.
Yeah, go on.
Anything Hyundai. Anything Hyundai.
Yeah.
i20, i30, even the i10s.
You use Hyundais at work, don't you, sometimes?
I use them through work. I think they're brilliant. I would, if the pot of keys are there, if they're all hanging up on the keyboard, the people that I work with will go for the brand new Peugeots, the brand new Astras, and actually I would always pick the Hyundai because it's just reliable. It gets me from A to B. I never have any issues. And I've just been told they're being decommissioned, and I'm very sad about that. So much so that we've got E208s now. Terrible. But yeah, Hyundai. That's what I'd be going with. Alan Simpson, your mate.
Yeah.
Says, looking forward to next week's podcast. Well, you're here, Alan. Your dad has obviously helped you on your love of cars. Do you have any siblings who are equally inspired? No, I'm an only child. Can you tell? So no siblings. We've got the fluffy animals who are the inspectors, but no siblings, which is why I can probably get away with doing this and taking up lots of Dad's life and time.
His mum took one look at him as a small child and says, we're not having any more of them.
Are you sure it was me she took one look, not you? Said, we're not doing that again.
She says, to quote Andy on Little Britain, Oh, I like it.
No, it's just
Yeah,
me.
that's it. I don't, I like it.
It's just me, myself, and I. So one day the
Spoilt brat.
the work. Oh, that's not fair.
He's a spoilt brat.
One day the workshop will be mine. Dom Swanson says, the Rover 75 was available with a handful of very different engines at launch. We know that, we've discussed it. The 2-litre diesel, the KV6. What other engines do you think would have been a good fit for the Rover 75? We've discussed this quite a lot.
I'm going to, oh no, I think it might cause a problem, but I would say stick the Honda V6 engine in it.
Yeah. Honda engine, right? Honda engine. Stick a Honda engine in it.
They did stick a V8 in, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they took yeah.
That's the 3500
In
V8.
fact, I think
wasn't
I've
it?
got the workshop manual for it somewhere.
What, for the V8 Rover 75?
Yeah,
Cool.
I think I have.
But what you're saying is, put a Honda engine in it.
That's just what my brain's
The
saying.
600s and the 800s had Honda engines.
Yeah, but they're only little Honda engines. You want the V6 that was in the Rover 825 Sterling, that
Nice.
827 and all that sort of thing.
Cool.
That's what I think.
There you go.
It's a big old, it's not as exciting as a KV6 engine, but it's just one of them sort of engines that goes and takes you somewhere and comes back again.
Immigrant Dave says, why no Volvos or Volkswagens? Old ones have lots of fans.
They do. Volkswagen people are what I would say a bit partisan, aren't they? Well, if you're a Volkswagen person, you're a Volkswagen person. You'll be a Volkswagen person from leaving school till when you die.
I am going to cause some upset here. They don't excite me, old Volkswagens. Can't get excited by them. Not at all. The buses, the Beetles, anything like that, the Scirocco's, doesn't excite me. The Volvos, on the other hand, yeah, I would have an old Volvo.
I've never had a lot to do with Volvos, really, but they always
Reliable.
People tell me they're good cars.
Yeah, that's why. I'm not ruling it out. I'm not ruling out a Volvo in the future. I suppose we've had a chat about your Peugeot 406 estate and what you could replace it with. That could be a Volvo. But
No, I think I'm going to get my Nissan Note stretched.
a stretched Nissan Note. Cool. Note limo.
Long wheelbase
Long
limousine
wheelbase
Nissan
limo Note. With the blacked out windows still.
Oh, definitely need the blacked out windows, but
I'm not ruling it out. Let's put it this way. If something came along and it was the right price, certainly would. But I'm not a fanatic when it comes to Volvos or Volkswagens. Peter Boyle says, John, did you buy that Proton Saga in Ireland? I think it was the Proton Park Royal. Yeah, it was, and I got really excited about it. There's a video on the channel. I was contacted out of the blue by a guy on Facebook who said, my dad bought a Proton brand new. It's still in his shed. He went to sell it in 2000. The dealer offered him a ridiculous price and he didn't want to sell it, so it's been in his shed ever since. I said I'd love to see some photographs, and he sent me some photographs, and I got really excited because, as far as I'm aware, it is the last of its kind. It's a Proton Park Royal. What does that mean? Well, it's a 1.5 SE with all the options. It's got air conditioning, it's got decals. They were decal packs though, weren't they, these special editions?
has it got a sunroof?
Yeah.
So you get a shower as well? I like it.
I knew that was coming. Did I buy it? No, I haven't bought it. I'm not ruling that out. The current owner is this chap's dad, and he's not ready to part with it yet, which is fine. It's in the barn, it's in his collection. It's not going very far, but it's dry stored. I obviously haven't seen fantastic pictures of it, but as grim as it sounds and as horrible as it sounds, this chap who I'm talking to on Facebook says, one day when my dad is no longer with us, I will contact you and you can have it. So dad's not ready to let it go. Son doesn't want it. When dad dies, then it could be mine. That's answered the Park Royal Proton question. Matt Pink, who we spoke about last week, by the way,
right,
who is one of the organisers
yes.
of the Rustival Fest, says, what is your dad's favourite sports car from the 70s?
Oh, easy. Triumph Spitfire.
Is that from the 70s, not the 60s?
Yeah, 70s. Yeah, I like the Triumph Spitfire.
1500?
No, before then.
So Mark II?
I don't know, but there's definitely Triumph Spitfires in the 1970s. The reason I liked them was I could get in one of them easily enough, but I couldn't an MGB or a midget.
Yep. Because of your height.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Somehow there seemed to be more room to get in. Whether there's a smaller steering wheel, it might have just been a smaller steering wheel. But
That's answered the question then.
Yeah.
Sports car, 70s, Triumph Spitfire, what colour?
well, it's fast car colour, isn't it?
Yellow.
It's got to be yellow or red.
Yellow.
Isn't it? Yellow or orange.
Great question, Matt, and thanks again for such a great day out at the Rustival a couple of weeks ago. Matt Swindles says, and this is a good question, will the balance of power shift in the workshop if you ever get more modern OBD software-y type cars in, or is there really no end to Dad's talent? What I think Matt is trying to say is, will I become the expert and you become the apprentice?
I hope so. Yes, I hope so. I really do. I really I hope that you'll be going, don't worry about that, Father. I can deal with that.
Let me plug it into the computer. No, is the honest answer, Matt. I don't think it ever will. I think Dad is the mechanically minded one. I'm not a mechanically minded person.
He's not about mechanically minded. He's about these cars that you just plug in and the computer says, that's what's broken. But trust me, I've worked with all this and it doesn't do that. It doesn't work like that.
I think a lot of old school mechanicking is being replaced in the workshop environment by part fitters.
Well, I wouldn't like to say.
This is wrong, take it out and replace it, as opposed to repairs. Or not.
You've got to know which part to fix, and no matter what people imagine, plugging your computer in doesn't tell you what's wrong with it.
No.
It points you in the general direction. You've still got to have knowledge to make sure you do change the right bit.
There you go. Good.
If you could change the wrong bit.
And that would be bad news.
But it'd be a nuisance,
It'd
wouldn't
be a waste of money for the customer and your time.
And you've got to explain to them why you've spent their money and it still isn't fixed. So it's not very good for yourself either.
In that situation, and again I'm asking this because I don't know, if I brought my car to your garage and you as the mechanic diagnosed, it needs a new water pump, for example.
Yes.
You fit a new water pump and it doesn't solve the problem.
That's our problem, isn't it?
That's your problem, not my problem.
Of course it is.
Would you then put the old water pump back on or just leave the new one on?
You don't leave it on, would you?
Yeah.
Just take it on the chin.
Fair enough. Good.
It's not worth the labour, is it?
No, that's answered that question. I never knew that.
You can't sell it to somebody else, can you?
No, once it's been fitted. Yeah, fine. Okay, so the trick there is to bamboozle your mechanic into replacing as much as humanly possible. Michael Seward says, I know that the Armstrong Siddeley in your collection is there for family reasons. Are there any other older classics, 50s or earlier, that you would buy? That's probably directed at me. And then I'll let you answer it as well. I like Riley Kestrels. I like Riley Falcons. I like old Rileys. I really like the old MGs as well. What else would I buy from the 50s or earlier? Oh, that's a good question. Probably another Armstrong Siddeley. I do like the Hurricanes, which are the drop-top coupe versions of my Lancaster. Yeah, probably an old Riley. Yourself?
1950s, sit up and beg pop or a Hanglia or something like that.
Oh, we spoke about that last.
Yeah.
An old Ford. Okay. Michael goes on to say, money no object.
Oh. Well, when he
Which
pays
does not
me,
compute.
When he pays me all the labour he owes me, that will be money. Will be no object, I can assure you.
How much do I owe you on?
£655,000.
Good job, Mrs. John Coupland's at work at the moment.
I'm
then,
knocking the VAT off. I'm
Because-
not VAT registered.
because the £4 I'm going to earn from this podcast is not going to put a chunk in that.
Oh, right.
Money no object. What would you have?
Got
as-
my money. You got my money.
Where's my money?
Where's my
Where's
money?
my money?
Where's my money? You got my money.
Money no object. What would you have as a practical daily, a weekend fun car, and a car to take to shows? You can go first. Practical daily. Money no object.
Well, money no. Hyundai i10. I like jumping in it. It
Yep.
takes me where I want to go, and it's nice to drive. Nicer to drive than that.
Practical daily. Mitsubishi L200. There you go. It's something. What's that all about? What's that face for?
Oh, you can be the person that doesn't give way to anybody else on the road.
I can put Mrs. John Coupland in it, her shopping, my shopping, put Crystal in the back, have a canopy on it, put my stuff in the back.
As you drive along the road, you may as well be going, out of my way, peasants, I am bigger than all of you.
And obviously with money no object, I'll be able to put the fuel in it as well. Weekend fun car.
Fun car. Who, you? Or me?
Oh, both of us.
Both
You
of
can go
us.
first.
A weekend fun car. A weekend fun car. That's a bit awkward, really, because do I take your mum with me or not?
No, it's just you.
Oh, right then. It'd be a something like Caterham 7 or
like a kit
that.
car.
Yeah.
Ah.
Or if no money, no object though. It's going to be a Morgan, isn't it?
Is that what you'd have?
Yeah, it's got to be a Morgan, isn't it?
I don't like them. Horrible.
But I do
wooden
think the sort of the Caterham and that looks a bit better, really.
Yeah, there you go. What, Caterham 7 and all that sort of thing?
Bit
Cool.
like the Lotus 7, isn't it?
Learning a lot about you here. Weekend fun car.
But if your mum's with me, that wouldn't work, would it?
What could you...
Mum wouldn't have fun in the wind.
I've
got the wind in my ears.
The weekend practical, don't go too fast, we don't need to have fun car.
It'll be something that's electric.
Mobility scooter.
You said that, mate. I do show these podcasts, you know.
Weekend fun car. I'm trying to think what I would have. Really predictable. An Aston Martin, probably. Some sort of Aston. Or some sort of supercar.
Chap goes to the gym, has got this Kia, and it's unbelievable. I don't know what they call it.
Is that a Kia Stinger?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Talk about sexy.
Yeah, they are a good looking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe a Kia Stinger. No. What is the Renault sports car? Is it the Renault Spider?
Oh, right, I've never seen
One of
that.
them, Renault Spider. And a car to take to shows.
Who, you?
Yeah, both of us.
Well, I could take my Caterham, couldn't I?
Or your Ford sit up and beg. Pop.
Yeah.
I would have a lovely Armstrong Siddeley limousine. That's what I'd have to take to shows. Black and cream, leather interior, lamb over carpets. Not lamb, lamb's wool. Crystal would love that.
Yeah, the Crystal would like that, wouldn't she?
Yeah, something big, regal,
I stay in
British.
car, John.
That is what I would have. Great question. Lottie from Lottie Drives Cars, hello Lottie, says budget no limit. Oh, here we go again. All these people have clearly worked out that we've got no cash.
Yeah, we're skint.
Says providing the budget was no limit, what car would you both like to work on together and why? Could you agree on one car?
Crikey.
Oh, that's a great question, Lottie. What car would we both like to work on together?
Oh, crikey, blimey, Charlie. That'd be tricky, wouldn't it?
So the thing is, I'm not a mechanic. So I would have to make it look, it would be a good, it'd be something
You're a pretty poor excuse for an apprentice, really. I don't know whether we'd be able to go to the shop and fetch the tea breaks properly, really.
What would we like to work on together? That is a good question.
Oh, crikey.
Something British? Montego?
Yeah, why not a Montego?
A Montego.
Why not a Montego?
Oh no, here you go. Mitsubishi Galant.
Yes.
Yes.
That'll do nicely.
That would be
Gromit.
it, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
A Mitsubishi Galant.
Yeah. I bet they're rare now. We saw one at a car show a bit ago, didn't we?
Yeah, there was one at the festival, not exceptional. Why would I like one? Dad had one when I was a kid. You sold it, and they're blooming rare now. Like a H-Reg, G-Reg, Mitsubishi Galant in that sea frosty green grey colour. That's what I think.
The trouble with these cars, if I'd kept it, it would still be going. But you let somebody else have them, and then they don't keep them going.
No, but
They break them.
You can't keep everything, says the man that keeps everything.
They break them, they do. You got this car that if I'd still got that Mitsubishi Galant and decided to, it would still be going.
It would still be your daily driver.
But somebody took it and didn't look after it.
Do you think it would have suffered from tinworm by
It did.
now? You'd have been...
I bet it's rot that killed it, isn't it?
Yeah, probably. You'd have been welding it up by now, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Frank, who is a member of the channel, by the way, so thank you, Frank, says, does Dad have any other hobbies besides cars and motorcycles?
Don't get much chance to do them with all this trash he keeps bringing me. If I get more time, I still like doing a little bit of fishing.
Yeah.
I do like a bit of fishing.
Pike fishing?
Yeah, definitely. Well, in the summertime, no, not pike fishing, just any sort of fishing.
Any sort of fishing.
But I'm not into this blooming serious cart plate sort of long pole business. I like fishing in the traditional style, sitting on my wicker basket with a blooming ordinary fishing rod and a reel. I like that. It's not all about
Not a
catching
fly
the
fisherman, I don't think.
No, I'm not a fly fisherman. But I do also, even though I sometimes sit here with a cigarette on, I go to the gym 5 times a week. Which is a bit bizarre, but
That's your hobby, isn't it? Going to the gym.
I've got to keep myself in peak physical condition to work on these old bangers
You're
when you
putting
get
me to shame.
into your advanced years.
Putting me to shame. Am I thin yet?
Yeah, you're getting there.
James McNeil says, glad to hear your dad is a fan of the Hillman Avenger.
Yeah.
Was my favourite car that my dad had when I was a kid. So his dad had one too. Did your dad have any trouble with rusty rear suspension? Both sides on my dad's collapsed simultaneously one day going over a bump.
No, mine had been looked after from new, and it was all sort of, in them days they called it Zybat, which was a bit like wax oil.
Yeah.
And it wasn't rusty underneath.
Not rusty at all?
No, because
No,
it
James.
had been looked after.
No.
It was one
No
of
rust at all.
them lucky ones. The wings went.
Last question then from Simon Davies this week. Do you or your dad remember VRNs from old and current cars? So VRN is this, a number plate, index number as I would call it.
Yeah.
I can still... Are we keeping you up? Are you bored? Had enough?
I'm just getting
Should we not answer Simon's
I'm relaxing. I'm getting relaxed.
You're relaxed on your pop crates. Comfy. I can still recall my dad's number plates from around age 6 onwards and still remember every plate I've ever owned. This is often a question raised on the Fueling Around podcast.
Yeah.
I can remember number plates probably better than you.
Yeah, I can tell you some things that you won't remember though, because you'll not know the number plate of my first car, will you?
No. What's the number plate of your first car?
PDO 51J.
There you go. Mine was M268OMO.
Yeah. I remember the number plate of my first proper motorbike as well.
What was that?
CFW 801L.
My moped is FX07 KKG.
Yeah, that's right.
So yes is the answer. We can remember number
I
plates.
can't remember the car I had last, nearly. I can't remember all the number.
Somebody reached out who used to work with
Yeah.
you and has sent me
Numbers of the
number plates of your old cars.
Yeah, can remember 600 was something, it was N something.
N667 WJL or something similar.
Yeah, 667, that's
667, yeah.
Then there was HAV, HAV.
H995 HAV, I can always remember that one too. That was the Mitsubishi Galant.
My mum's first car was SJL 168.
What was that?
It was a Ford 100E.
Nice.
Then the next car was EG 389C.
I can always
Anglia.
I can always remember your Peugeot. I can not remember the Nissan Note.
It's FT13, Kiss John's Butt. I say you remember that one.
And Mum's is EXS, which is Eat to Excess. So that's the way that I remember.
That's just sex mixed up in it. Mixed up sex.
That's for a different podcast. Yeah, so that's how I remember number plates. Is I would put a.
They're a bit scary sometimes because Mum always puts the number in when we go to our local Lidl. But if I go in a different car, that's when it gets a bit tricky because Hot Wheels 15s has gone already.
Mrs. John Coupland can't remember the day of the week, so she can't remember them. But yeah, interesting, isn't it, how we remember number plates?
That bloke who you was talking about, he's good at remembering number plates, always was.
It's one of them things, isn't it? I think if you work with cars and numbers and you own that sort of stuff, you have a passion for that sort of stuff, then it sticks
I don't.
in your brain.
I've not got a passion for cars, I don't think.
That's it, the Q&A for this week. Thanks to everyone for your questions. Hopefully we've answered them.
You've forgotten one fella, you know. He mentioned something about a tool he had that his grandfather made in the 1800s.
Well, I'm glad that you've reminded me. Tell me about that.
Well, this fella's got something, and I've got something which I want to point out to you. If you can get my spare nut.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Not the spare nut. Where's the spare nut? There's the spare nut.
Well,
Hang on a minute. I'm getting to what we're doing.
Right, I'm taking over.
This isn't your podcast.
This is my Lincolnshire podcast.
Oh, the
now.
Lincolnshire podcast. There you go. There's your
See,
spare nut.
That is
Tell us about that.
a skeleton of Sheffield spade, not much wear.
That's a shiny spade, isn't it?
This is what's left of my dad's spade.
Let's just hang on a minute. Let's hold it up in relation to it.
So that's how much work that got. And it is by the same company.
It's the same company, yeah. So this is by CT Skelton of Sheffield, made in England. Well, it's a smaller spade, isn't it?
No, it's worn down.
What do you mean it's worn down?
That's wear.
What, so he's worn 6 inches off the end of it? Well, not 6 inches, 3 inches.
That's wear, that is. That's done a lot of digging.
So somebody in the comments last week...
A hammer that his grandfather made or something.
Wow, cool. And so that is your dad's spade head.
Well, what's left of it, the woodworm got the handle. So I've took over now.
That's fine.
That's not safe.
Oh no, it's not safe, is it? Let's get it safe.
Tucking behind those things.
Before it falls on me and or the inspector. Good. Okay, well thanks. I'm glad you remembered
Your mum
that.
wanted to borrow my digging machine and I says, no, go get your own digging machine out.
So, full disclosure, hello, by the way, you don't let me use your spare naught.
No, because you're rough and you'll break
But
it.
it's a bloody good spade.
It is.
So I went and bought my own.
You did, but then you broke it.
Yeah.
That's why I don't lend him mine.
How did I break it? What did I get it
You was
stuck on?
levering stuff.
I was using it to lever stuff and then broke the handle, didn't I? So it needs a new handle. Well, there we go. That's it. That's finally it for Q&A. That's actually it for Q&A of the week. But it is time, dun, 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 for the answer to Tool of the Week.
Anybody that worked on French cars in the 60s, 70s and 80s, I think, would know this. It's made by Facom of France. Do we even want to know what it's for?
Yeah, tell us what it's about.
It's for setting the various settings in a Ducellier distributor.
Oh, what,
A Ducellier distributor.
You're going to have to tell us what that is.
A Ducellier distributor is just a distributor made by a company called Ducellier.
Right, okay, that makes sense.
they've
Who are
got-
a French company?
But your Lucas one, all you could do was bend the bob weights pins maybe, or you could adjust the points. With the Ducellier, you can change the dwell overlap, because if you think about it, you've got a cam going round, and then when the vacuum advance works, it starts in a different place on your cam lobe in your distributor.
Okay.
That's called dwell overlap. With a Ducellier distributor adjuster, one of these adjusts that, and you can also adjust the amount of vacuum advance, you can adjust the points with it. It's a tool for setting all the settings in a Ducellier distributor.
That is a useful tool. I bet you didn't get...
Nah, not anymore, it's not. But on the old... on the Peugeot 104s, you couldn't get at the distributor. It's tight up against the bulkhead. So you took it out and you put it in a machine like a test bed, and it's got strobe lights and things, and you could set it all on this machine and put it back in the car.
Well, if you got that, if you managed to say that in the comments below...
I think people have seen them before.
I am going to be surprised and shocked. But if you did, you qualify as Legend of the Week. Well done if you got that right. So it's a tool for setting the stuff
Yeah,
in
adjusting the
Ducellier
settings in a Ducellier distributor.
Now you know. Tool of the Week returns next week. What could it be next week? Who knows? Maybe it could be a spade next week, something that I can understand.
Now, I'll get something really, really obscure for next week. Then. This. I think lots of people have got that already. One fella got that steering wheel puller, didn't he?
Straight away. Yeah, lots of people from last week's Tool of the Week thought it was knew it was some sort of puller, because of what it was, but they didn't get quite.
One fella said steering wheel puller,
and that was right. So he is Legend of
He's
the Week.
Legend last week.
Legend of last week. Anything else you want to say before we?
No, I can't.
This week's
I need
podcast?
to save some for next week.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, if you're enjoying the format, we would love your feedback genuinely, because it is something that is still in its infancy and it will evolve over time. Hopefully we're going to get some nice
I might have to
swanky
go and start
seats.
going around auto jumbles to buy obscure tools. For
Yeah,
the-
and then
Oh,
make
no.
us coffee tables and chairs and, I don't know, banners. But no, if you have enjoyed this podcast and a chat with Dad in the garage, let us know in the comments below. If you would like to help the channel by liking the video, that would really help. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do. We are two blokes in a shed with a dog, wherever she's gone.
She's watching the neighbours.
That are just doing our thing, but we're quite humbled, or I'm quite humbled, in the amount of love that everyone's
Call it
getting.
humble, I'm blinking amazed.
Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, Until next week, take care. Goodbye. If you've enjoyed this video, I've selected a few more specially for you on this page. Click either side to select them now. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button to always stay up to date with the channel.